Hi guys, George here with a replay. And the replay will be about the kids these days, the HazMo 4 free scenario designed by Charles Hammond. This scenario is about an event that took place with the Commonwealth forces against the Hitler Youth on D-Day +5 up in Cristo, France, on the 11th of June 1944. It is a very interesting scenario. Its length is 11 turns. It involves board 9A and 1A. The path to victory, or the victory conditions, are that the German wins immediately upon amassing 40 victory points. And the way you can amass victory points are as follows. Exit victory points for units exited off the west edge. 15 victory points if the British have not secured the village at any time, at any point on or prior to the end of the British turn 6. And 15 victory points if the German has secured the village at game end. So basically, as the German player, you need to exit a certain amount of troops off the board. You need to ensure that the British have not captured the village by their turn 6, and you need to deny the village to the British throughout the game. If you do not achieve victory objective B and C, then the onus of winning becomes a lot more harder because you'll have to exit troops off the west edge of the board while you need troops to maintain or achieve B and C. More on that later because the analysis of this scenario will be done afterwards. What we'll present today is just the play-by-play action off the first game that I played. So far I've played 2 games of this scenario, once on each side, barely enough to get a good flavor of it, but enough to draw. I feel there's enough to draw an opinion about the quality of this scenario. So the second slide here, I just want to present to you my plan. I was playing the British, Dennis was playing um, the Germans. We did massacre the rules. We did have some. We did do some rule mistakes, but overall the gameplay was smooth and there was a plan in action. So the plan here for the British was to do a pincer movement. So there's 2 groups of infantry led by the best leaders to do a pincer movement and a flanking maneuver on the village. Now the village as per the SSRs, is that you're considered to have captured the village if you have captured 2 fortified stone buildings um, in this area here. So we have 2 groups of infantry doing a pincer movement, one moving throughout open ground and through these hindrances and over to the north side of the village, let's say, and on the other end you're traversing this infantry through a limited amount of open ground, through the hindrances, through the woods, and on to attacking the southern flank of the village, while this group here was meant to provide support by throwing down smoke and suppressing the units here. That was the plan. Of course, with along with every plan, there is the notion of Murphy's Law. Without giving you too many spoilers, I think Murphy's Law was preeminent here. So this is the actual board as you can see on Vassal. And the contents here are basically 2 half squads with mortars. This leader here is being used as a spotter. And we have an interesting fire group here that can use suppressive fire. And we have a couple of half squads. We did use deployment wisely in order to draw fire from any hidden units. Alright, with that said, let's go and look at our first log. 1 second, we'll just load it up in a bit. Okay, so the action begins, and we roll for weather, and we're looking at the roads and the woods for some reason. We still have, so we have it on prep fire. Turn 1 prep fire for the British. Looks like we're going to form a fire group with our 2 best leaders and fire on this juicy stack over there. Drawing the line of sight. There we go. We finally got the line of sight. Okay. There we go. Prep fire. And now we're rolling on the 2 hit. Activated the Allied SAN. We got an act, but we didn't even make the Germans flinch there. It was quite ineffective. Axis SAN, that's my own SAN. So the SAM activation failed there. Rolling 11 on the IFT. Pretty dismal. Somehow we did end up scoring a pin. Trying to roll 2 hits, but the IFT rolls are again quite dismal. So prep firing there and trying to reveal what units are there and trying to keep their heads down so most of the units can advance and meet their objectives. Eventually I'm going to learn, so we're on to the movement phase. Eventually I'm going to learn not to prep fire and move and advance fire, defensive fire. So right up front, Dennis had a German player just adjacent to me. So that's going to hurt. Let's take a look and see. 6 on the IFT. I'm rolling morale checks, and of course I'm failing. We're advancing the half squads up to the German positions, trying to draw fire and so they can break concealment. I actually passed a nice morale check there. Okay. One broke, the other one made it. Alright. And this other fellow just advances out in the open in the LOS of the units, but he is not taking the bait. Now we're moving on this side, on this flank. Some units managed to make it. Assault moving, final fired, 12 on the IFT. Something must be broken. Let's take a look. Now is it already advancing fire? No. Alright, let's go on. That's an armor assault. And he lets me advance. He draws a Panzerfaust, I believe, a Panzerfaust check, and blows up the tank. And breaks the leader on below. No SAM activation. So now we're in defensive fire of turn 1, ally turn 1, and he is beginning to blast everybody. Task check, a nice 12, pinned like you wouldn't believe. On to our advancing fire phase. What do we got there? One broken and one unbroken. Alright. There I am rolling the allied sign, I suppose. Okay, we broke everybody, as you can see. Was that either that dude low crawled or was took interdiction and passed? So we're now in the route phase. Allied player routes first. He routes like so and routes forward. He routes back. And we're probably talking about prisoners at this point, I believe. There we go. Yep. They were taken prisoner. And left me a shiny LMG. There you go. This is the way we manage our prisoners. We label the prisoner counter and draw from there by cloning any prisoners that suffered casualty reduction. So I think at this point we're going to be ready to go to Axis turn 1. Or maybe I forgot to fire something. I'm not sure. Okay, it is close combat. I like how the log records all these circles. We're probably talking about the victory objective. Truth be told, we weren't, at least I should speak for myself. I wasn't too clear about how the victory locations worked. Alright, we're on the German Axis turn 2 rally phase. We're trying to rally and see what's going on. Now there is some deadly fire. So Mueller reveals himself as a 9-1 leader. There's a 6-5-8. They're not in the woods, so that MMG can freely swing around, and his covered arc is not locked. He's probably firing in 03. And I'm got some activation, which is great, but not that great. Here he is firing again. 2 on the IFT, eliminates the half squad. And now we're Axis movement, and we're saying that he's retreating. There you go. We're counting the range. We roll on the IFT, and some folks broke. So this fire group here was firing there. At least one unit broke. Alright. Now it's the Sherman's turn. Getting nothing more than average rolls on our defensive fire. Alright, so he's firing. Okay, the mortar is being spotted by this leader and firing up there. We don't have any LOS because it's blocked in N12 for the Sherman. We rolled on that to hit in any case. Probably firing our machine guns elsewhere. There we go, firing again. And we're all ready to rout phase. Now, truth be told, you can rout pretty freely out of those trenches and onto the woods. In hindsight, there should have been perhaps there should have been an interdiction dice roll there, because the moment he comes out of the trench, it's open ground for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hard to tell what we did. Alright, time to load up the second log, and at this point we're completing Axis turn 1. One moment. Okay, so we're back and we're starting now with Ally turn 2. I may have skipped a couple of items, but the unit that was low crawling or had taken out interdiction and retreated managed to make it back to one of the best leaders in the Allied OB. This position here was taken care of, dispatched by Dickens, Lieutenant Dickens and Colonel Hobson. These boys retreated. These folks skulked away from their position and made it all the way back here. We captured some prisoners. Quite a few squads CX'd all the way to the tree line over here, and they're going to begin to fold up on the southern flank of the village, right over here. What these units are still doing there, I have no idea, but knowing that there is a 658 there, giving this fellow some too many opportunity to fire with a -2 DRM was a bit risky. Let's see if ultimately we did decide to go forward. Alright, we're just reviewing the fact that we have some reinforcements eventually coming in. I think Dennis was a bit despondent at this point because he really was holding back the entire German line with only 2 infantry squads. 3 maybe at best. So let's see what transpires, but I did, try to encourage him to stick to the game here, because ultimately there's a massive amount of forces. Now, this is the incorrect tank, and we corrected our mistake. It's not a 75 star, it's actually an 88L. So we corrected our mistake before it could have an impact on our game. Right, okay. Alrighty then. Here we have some heat of battle. And we get ourselves a little hero. German turn to rally, and they rallied like for lack of a better analogy, like a Mustang 5.0 on a freeway. All right. So we're on prep fire phase, and what are we doing? Trying to hit some smoke and run out of smoke at the same time. See? These 2 motors quickly, by turn 2, Allied turn 2, ran out of smoke, which doesn't help matters at all for the Allied player. This is the first incident of Murphy's Law kicking in. Rolling high rolls on the IFT here. I cannot believe I'm prep firing that tank instead of advancing, but again, it wasn't a bad decision, I don't find. So here we go again, rolling 11s against. But ultimately, we do get some units to advance and take some ground. And now we are moving up. We're moving up more units. So the southern flank is very successful at this point. And the tank there did prep fire, but the squad did not, so he moved into better cover ultimately. The thing that I was worried about was where was his anti-tank gun. Big worry. Nice sand. And where we're going to hit goes back to there. And ultimately now, on the Allied defensive fire phase, he finally has said, okay, if I don't start firing, now this should have opened up concealed. Um, so it should have opened up concealed. Let's double check the. Yeah, he did not do a 2-hit, a 5 or 6, so it should have been concealed. Um, what can I say? 2 kill, blows up the first tank. Has rate. Uh, no crew survival. Um, another hit and scores a 2 up, 2 even shot. Random selection. We ended up getting quite a few people goners. Everybody else is broken. So we erased all the gains we've made in the first turn. There you go. So that AT gun was pretty deadly. And the northern flank is in dismal shape at the moment. The British northern flank, everybody is out of action, out of commission for the time being, except 6 firepower factors. The southern flank managed to advance at this point, at this juncture, but left a couple of units behind. This fellow was not able to rally. How he escaped fire from him is a different story. And I did underestimate an ambush around here. So continuing, there's a nice big acquisition there. There I am rolling the Axis sand again, big sand. Hits Higgins, who is the spotter of one of the 2 mortars. Well, yeah, this mortar here, and wounds him. So effectively, he cannot. His potential to advance on anywhere near to act as a rear guard and rallying troops has greatly diminished. What can you do? So in close combat, there's not much we can do about close combat. We did advance. And let's go on to log 3. So here we are with log 3, end of Allied turn 2. We're trying to rally people. It's Axis rally phase, turn 2. Pretty much everybody that broke will just bounce back. Got our DMs off. We only have one tank left. So here we have prep firing, and there's a critical hit. Random selection. There goes another leader off the board. And now we're retreating to the village to try to, well, the German player, Dennis, is retreating to the village and trying to consolidate a good position, a good solid position to thwart the British advance. So after all is said and done, we still have an 8 fire 8 up 2 there. All right, so let's see what happens. Oh God, I just moved a couple of people that shouldn't have been moved. So let's go back. I don't think that's conducive to anything good with a log file. All right. So who's firing there? Advancing fire phase. Oh yes. So just to DM the guy. So I instead of sticking around there with the AT in action, I decided it was better just to route back. And let's see ultimately how everybody routes. Now there's an advance, the Germans advance. And concealment gains, which is going to make life very difficult for the British. So now it's Ally turn 3, and we have 3 turns to make it to the village, but the northern flank got decimated by the AT gun. The southern flank is making good gains, but you'll see in a moment what impediment they'll come up against. Alright, so let's continue with that log. There's an attempt to shoot, I suppose. I'm rolling for the 2 hit. And I roll snake eyes on the IFT. Pretty much eliminated everybody. Yep. There's another 2 hit. A critical hit as well. And a nice roll on the IFT, but also triggering the Axis SAN. Another to hit. Not much there to be said or to be had. Finally, we get to advance a squad up to the northern portion of the board, the northern flank. Everybody's going up, but they're missing a valuable leader. 2 valuable leaders, as a matter of fact. And finally, another squad makes the fray. Germans trying to thwart this attack here is not that effective. And here we are attempting to gain some ground. so far the only real hero we have, or the most effective unit that uh, made any sort of hope for the uh, British player, was this tank here. The mortars were pretty useless. Ran out of smoke in the first turn. These guys got decimated by accurate fire from an AT gun. Two tanks were blown up, one in more or less in an ambush, the other one from the AT gun. Very unfortunate for the British player. We're already in the Allied advance, so we're moving up to occupy this tree line where we can take this unit out and try to put pressure on that point there. And here we go. PS are quite handy. Oh, this is where we're rolling. It's the end of the close combat phase, so we're trying to find out anything about concealment gains. So there's no mandatory wall advantage there. We have in hex tem, so the bocage, and he's not a known enemy unit, so we concealed. Rolling for rolling for, I suppose, concealment gain in the open. Axis turn 3. And here we bounce back. Right there. Alright. Everybody's back in order, but at a considerably reduced strength than before. Yeah. Sigh. Alright. Here's a good roll. Causing a morale check and DMing this unit. Well, actually breaking one unit. Axis movement phase. So that would probably be a 12 up 2. And we roll a 10. 10 plus 2 is 12. It's hard enough to break them, to eliminate them. If you're rolling 10s and 12s, forget it. Now, why are we? We're trying to fire, but at that range, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Only the MMG can fire half strength. There we go, pointing out the hindrance. Here we go, trying to lay down some suppressive fire with the motor. It ain't working, guys. It ain't working. There's one unit there, and these guys are pretty powerful. You know, they have Panzerfausts. You can't approach them with carelessness. You have to use caution. And there I go with a 12 to hit, and as I like to say it, we just milked the gun. And we're already in close combat. Axis turn 4. And we have some reinforcements coming in. The problem here, though, is I was very indecisive as to what to do with these reinforcements. That hurt me a lot. It hurt a lot. So let's see, because they weren't part of the original plan. And I should have thought of ahead as to what to do with these fellows. So there is a 57L coming in, a radio, a leader with a radio, and a crew. Now I must have misplaced the crew with the half squad. Uh, Not good. The crew should have gone with the AT gun. I only saw this error just now. Alright. Yeah. So we're trying to rally and self-rally this dude. Made it. That's great. Trying to repair that gun. Trying to get those boys up and running. That ain't good, see? That ain't good at all. Rally here, rally there. We're already at the prep fire phase, and we're going to try and do a 12 up 2 attack. Task check, pins. We only had a pin check. Alright. And here we are talking about turn 6. Radios and whatnot. Yeah. So we could still fire the machine guns, and that's what we try to do, I suppose, to no avail. Trying to get something done with the mortar, to no avail. Now we're moving up Hobson. We're trying to move position the northern flank to meet the onslaught of the German reinforcements. Picked up the machine gun off the ground from the previously eliminated unit. Here we are going into that hex. Moving up all our units on the southern flank. And now here comes the British reinforcements, and there's where I corrected my error with the crew. Alright, and they're moving up like drunk on Scotch and rye. Here we go. Where are they going? Inadvertently as well, Dennis didn't deploy any mines. I don't think he felt he needed any, I suppose. But now, had I had a plan ahead of time, I would have just deployed the AT gun somewhere around here. Yes, it's in the open ground, but ultimately, getting him up front while there's still Germans lurking around in a soft vehicle would not have been a prudent idea. The most prudent idea is, knowing that my Piats were here, deploy my AT gun somewhere in this corner here, and I would be able to cover most of the space around here while being away from this fellow. That would have been the wisest choice, but unfortunately I didn't think about that as well. The best thing that I could have done for this leader was to advance him slowly here, let him debark, and let him come up to this building where he can have protection, and stay in reserve until the German player tries to exit, and use your bombardment to take care of things. You have 2 missions, so that should take care of things, but the plan did not entail what to do with the reinforcements. I thought inadvertently or mistakenly that I'd walk in right in there. So we're at turn 4, Allied turn 4, German defensive fire phase. Some cowering going on. Now we're already at the advanced phase, and we have a nice little fire group here. But advancing any closer to this position is haphazard at best from here. Yeah. And in this case, I should have relied on smoke, really. I should have taken advantage of the smoke exponent, at least advance into the as close as I could into this building here, or try to dash across here and continue, but don't know what to say. Now we're going to close combat. We have one guard on 8 to 6. Well, he's defending at full, attacking at half at this point. And that was a bit of a costly mistake. We rolled for ambush because we ended up in melee for the longest amount of time. Here we are examining the board again, talking about our progress, or the dismal amount thereof. Rallying our squads, and 6 completely destroys the main armament. There goes the last of my remaining tanks on a recall. Yep. So he's moving up here to block his advance. And we're trying to block their counter attack on the northern flank. The northern flank already incurred right off the bat an extreme amount of bad luck. The southern flank succeeded in advancing and making good progress, but it's now stalled, or a portion of it is. A good portion of it. Okay, so let's continue. Here we go, they're going CX. We have some dexterity issues. We're firing now, and the defensive fire phase axis turn 4. And we rolled 2 on the IFT. That's a 8 attack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He reveals, of course, that it is the fortified location, so it's up 4. 6 on the 8 is probably a 1 morale check. And he makes it or gets pinned. And 8, 9 pins. Well, the other fellow makes it. He only rolled a 7. And then here I go again with the IFT. Rolling above average rolls here. Now, actually, this is the advanced phase, and these units are firing at this motion hex. Alright, advanced fire no effect. He's shooting back now, and shooting back would be at 8 even. So 7 on the 8 is a 1 morale check. Advanced fired. Oh, we got a task check somehow. I don't know. I rolled 2 sniper checks. Where's the sniper? Did we forget the sniper? Or actually I rolled my own sniper? Let's take a look at that again one more time. Yeah, I rolled my own sniper. Horrible, George. Alright. Close combat. There we go again in close combat. Then nada. And more or less George managed to casualty reduce him. Alright, but we're still locked in melee. He cannot advance and fire upon Euler. Okay, so where are we at? Okay, we're still in melee. We're probably glancing over the board at this point. Oops. And there goes the third or fourth, the third log file. So let's go on to the fourth. We're almost done. Alright, so we're back. We just refreshed the log. We're going to go on to turn 5. And the designer of the scenario joined us, Chuck Hammond, during this turn. So here I am pointing out that he has been recalled. Rolling for weather. There was some weather, I believe. Alright. So we did some wind direction, gusts. Self-rallies. One of the half squad sets was manning the and now we're prep firing against those units. They are in woods, and we want to get rid of this guy. And why do we want to get rid of him? Because he poses 8 up something against these 2 hexes and prevents this dude from advancing. What can you do? Let's see. Alright, so let's see what happens here. Prep fire. Rolls an 8. Does not cower. And 8 on the 6, I suppose. Well, 8 down 1, ultimately. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That was a 6. Down 1. And we rolled an 8, 7. That's 7. Let's see what transpired there. A morale check. And some units breaking. That was good. But the party didn't last long, I don't think. Now we're trying to break him. With an up 4 shot, what was I thinking? Really? You know? No effect. Alright, he assault moved to there. We're trying to move up some more firepower. Now it is movement phase, and that tank has to say goodbye. Off he goes. And he's prancing across the board. Has a change of heart as to where he's going. And I really don't need him here. I have these 2 Panzer Piats there that will block this road and block this road. So basically, I really needed him somewhere on here. So he can fire actually here, so he can fire around here and down there and block everybody, but instead I'm advancing him towards the other edge of the board for no good reasons, I don't think. Advances into the mortar hex and grabs the mortar. This guy keeps on moving. What are we doing? Trying to advance on these boys here. Oh, I should have been more aggressive in that move, but final fires, defensive fire, his fire against, they're trading shots and it's not effective. We're trading shots here now. Besides having one unit pinned and the other broken, no big deal. And we consolidated there our position, but just the same, he doesn't have any loss to there. He is blocking our axis of advance there. How are we going to dislodge this guy? Here we go, advance, trying to move up, close combat, or I'm going close combat there. Pretty much nothing. But the British forces are continue to be tied down. They cannot exert any firepower here, and the second victory location is completely unknown to me. Right, so there we go, check for line of sight. You're blocked. Too bad, it's already turn 5. Turn 5, allied, and close combat. Not much there. So Dennis is trying to rally, and now he has a self-rally attempt. He kind of makes it. We forgot to roll for weather, I suppose. And now we're back to prep fire, and he does score a good MC from here to there. So he's blocking the southern flank attack effectively. They're locked in melee for 2 turns, and things are not going as planned for the Commonwealth. I managed to dislodge him a bit, but he is getting those mortars in a bit of a pickle. Pinned him. Big deal. We're trying to fire again. Scored an MC. SAM activation is a nice one. But where is he going? Back there. Probably a casualty reduction there. Continues throughout. Close combat. Still haven't eliminated the half squad, I don't think. Let's see. And now our reinforcements are coming in. So we got some riders. We're in 44. And it's allied turn 6. Although I got reinforcements coming in, the bad thing is that so does the German player. Yeah. And after this log, I'm going to jump to the last log, because what ensues is a bit of a slugfest, I suppose. Now it's in the movement phase, and then we determined that according to the ESR, if these guys are no longer passengers, the half tracks have to get recalled. And here we are, incurring a great amount of firepower. Well, effective shots. I wouldn't say a great amount of firepower, but you're going up against a fortified location through terrain that affords you little cover from a leader with a negative DRM. So here you have more of an advance. Now the tanks are moving up unimpeded. I have no idea why I stopped them. I was probably under the impression that under the impression that the his tanks would meet me face to face at that location. So all my reinforcements have moved on the board. Thanks to the sacrifice of Hobson and his team, these guys can move up the board unimpeded. So we made uh, a little reminder using a label that at this point the German player has already achieved 15 victory points because they held the village. So that was a big upset, or for lack of a better term, it was a big blow to your personal morale, not being able to achieve one of the important elements in denying the German player a victory. Again, keep in mind that these are 88 Ls. We used the wrong counter for the beginning. Alright, so here's the German advance. Coming in. We concealed some units, and Dennis is getting the units ready off board. I don't believe I was watching this. We kind of minimize our screens while this is occurring. A couple of rally attempts. And of course, they're advancing unimpeded. So and look at that, the Germans have a DC charge. Kind of wish the British had a DC charger too as well. Alright. Okay, so after log 4, we're going to skip a log and go to the last log because it's beginning to look really dismal and unachievable for the British player. Now here's where we made a couple of mistakes. First and foremost, we had mistaken the type of British gun on the Sherman, and we also made an error about the type of German AFEs. It's interesting that whenever we make these mistakes, the scenario plays well or even better than the original at times. Um, I have no idea how we score this luck, but it just happens. But once Dennis realized that mistake, we quickly corrected it. The overall scheme of things, the mistakes that we did didn't have a large impact on how the scenario flowed. It actually flowed quite well. And when I make the analysis about this scenario, I think you guys will enjoy some interesting insights about how to play this scenario well and what the scenario entails, apart from lots of fun. It is a fun scenario. Alright, a whole bunch of... We're already on ally turn 7, and, well, and the German player has scored some interesting hits. Hmm. There we did a couple of rally attempts, and we're going to try and form a fire group in order to dislodge Mueller from that location, and we finally had taken care of the melee 3 turns into the scenario. What we're left with was actually a half squad and a squad with a P at each. So um, the the close combat for the German player too was not a zero-sum relationship. He did score some casualty reduction in the previous close combat. And whatever I do in terms of moving up all those forces, uh, it doesn't look like we're in a position where we can effectively take the village and put enough forces in a position to prevent um, the German player from exiting points at this point. There's another 2-hit 12, mouthing a weapon. This fellow just harmoniously retreats backwards. Not much you can do there. And defending or attacking from row houses sometimes is not so conducive. So we're going to jump to the last log because you'll. So we jumped ahead to log 6, which is the last log. Um, let's see what we got here. As you can see, we corrected our mistake with respect to the German AFE type. Um, Here, actually, there's supposed to be only one Stug coming in, not two, if I remember correctly. But the German player was able to consolidate his position, although I have an immense amount of firepower here. And somehow, he ultimately did dash across the wood lines hex here and started approaching and threatening Mueller, at least from one direction. And what I commented to Denison at this point was this was an excellent location to put one of the fortified locations because it's difficult to flank it. Enough said. So yeah, we're at axis turn 9. Um, and there is 15 points. And where are the German tanks? Well, these armor factors are going to just fly off the board. My AT gun was taken out completely on the infantry fire table in previous turns. So let's see how the last action ensues. We had a nice little slugfest here with the armor. The German player ultimately decided to leave most of his OB behind to counterattack these people, but basically he's still holding on to the village. So that's 15 points. Another 15 points for the British not taking the village um, uh, by turn 6. That's 30. And by exiting these monsters off the board, so it's they have they're worth 2 points because they each are mobile and with a good MA. And then if I remember correctly, in addition to that, you get another point for each armor factor multiple of 5. So basically, from my perspective, he has it made. Um, so let's continue. This is ally turn 10, rolling for weather, trying to rally unsuccessfully, and there's all sorts of rallies there for the German player. A few of them are up, a few of them are down. The mortar just flew off the cuckoo's nest, and we're trying to prep fire and really cause some havoc. Yeah, we're in prep fire phase. In that big stack here, we created a battle hardening and a hero from that stack from taking German fire. The luck ebbed up and down between one player and the other. Um, as you can see, morale check heat of battle, morale check 11. Morale check 12. Now there we are firing again. And our luck has changed, but still there's something missing. For example, armor. We got no armor left. So there's another firefight ensuing to try and take the village. Here we are in activating the sniper. Couple of pin checks. And we're ally turn 10. German defensive fire. Rolling 12s and morale checks does not help at all. So we're on the cusp of turn 10 and the end of turn 10. We emerge unscathed from the German fire, but far from dislodging him from the two village hexes. And the German armor is about to exit with quite a few amount of interesting victory points. And that's how it ended. At this point, I conceded the game. And Dennis played the game brilliantly. He started with a forward attack or a forward defense. Was able to cut down a good portion of the British forces, basically annihilating or greatly damaging the northern flank, targeting the British armor and blowing them to Kingdom Come. There was some bad luck on the British player's turn, that's me, with respect to malfing one of my main armaments and getting that tank recalled. And the flank assaults were very precarious because the German player was able to not wreak havoc, but a good word for it would be the German player was able to harass the British assault, harass and delay all the way to the last couple of turns, where at that point, even though I was in a position to really to really cause some headaches, there was really no way I could take this hex and then dislodge him in the course of two player turns, with the last turn being in his favor. So that's how things ended in this case, and that's pretty much my scenario, a replay. I highly recommend it. It was well done. So the second part of this video will be my analysis, and I can tell you for a fact that it is a pretty balanced scenario. Initially I thought it wasn't. That was my first impression, but Dennis managed to win this as the Russian player, sorry, as the British Commonwealth player and the German player. On my end, though, my luck did not hold out that well, um, and I could have devised a better strategy, especially as the British player, really thinking about the purpose of my what would be the purpose of my reinforcements instead of completely discounting their role in this battle. So again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe and tell your friends about the channel. I do the best to provide you with the utmost of content I could. And I'd like to take also this opportunity to thank all my viewers, all the subscribers, and wish everybody a happy 2022. Take care. Bye.